Jasmine didn't expect that she almost lost her future sister-in-law's life because of an 180,000 yuan betrothal gift. At 2 in the afternoon, she was overseeing the decoration of the new house when she suddenly received a call from Matthew. "Jasmine, my sister drank pesticide, and she's now being treated at the county hospital. The doctor said she drank too much, and the delay in getting her here might not guarantee her survival. Can you come over?" "What?" Jasmine dropped the tiles in her hand with a bang. "Your sister drank pesticide? Why? Didn't she just come back from vacation?" I'm not too sure. It seems like she had a quarrel with my mom. Can you come over? My mom is in a highly emotional state, and she just fainted. I don't know what to do." "Alright, the county hospital, right? I'll come right away." Matthew's hometown was in another county, quite far away, requiring a bus ride. By the time she reached the county hospital, 2.5 hours had passed. As she reached the 3rd floor, she saw Matthew coming through the crowd towards her. She approached, panting, "How is your sister? Is she out of danger?" She had her stomach pumped, underwent hemodialysis, and is now out of danger. But her organs are damaged, there's swelling in the brain, and she hasn't regained consciousness. She's been moved to a regular ward. Jasmine sighed in relief. What happened? Why would she drink pesticide? Just because of a quarrel with your mom? Not entirely. Jasmine waited for him to continue, but Matthew fell silent. "So, what's the whole story? Come on, don't just stand there. Where's the ward? Let's talk while we walk." "Room 26, Matthew said, but the next moment, he grabbed Jasmine and looked troubled. Just now, some relatives came over, and the room is crowded. Maybe you shouldn't go in. My sister is still unconscious, and she won't know if you visit. How about I drive you back later?" "You're kidding, right?" Jasmine gave him a look like he was crazy. "I came all the way here, and you want me to go back? Matthew, this is not a small matter. If I don't come in, your relatives might gossip about me. Besides, what does it matter how many people from your family are here? I want to see your sister." Matthew was speechless, nodding reluctantly. "Okay, let's go." However, within seconds, Jasmine, full of suspicion, understood why Matthew didn't want her to enter the ward, because the reason his sister Chelsea attempted suicide by drinking pesticide was related to her. The hospital room was filled with Matthew's family members. Matthew's mother was sitting by the bedside, tearfully expressing grievances to a group of relatives. Nobody noticed Jasmine, who had just arrived at the doorway. Earlier, as Matthew was heading towards the ward, he received a call from the company, causing a delay and allowing Jasmine to overhear the following conversation. Matthew's aunt said, "You shouldn't have agreed to her in the first place. How could you come up with so much money all at once? She knows your family's situation, and you and Matthew didn't deceive her. Now, you've bought a house and a car, started the renovation as per her request, and she's still insisting on an 180,000 yuan betrothal gift. Isn't she deliberately making things difficult for you?" Matthew's second uncle added, "You praised her so much back then. Said she had a good heart, wasn't after money, and was willing to struggle alongside Matthew. We were happy for you. But what happened? She's keeping tricks up her sleeve. 180,000 yuan. If you could afford such a dowry, I would have already proposed to Matthew for her, and we wouldn't even need to buy a house. Just renovate the old family house." Matthew's eldest aunt said, "If she wants 180,000 yuan, just tell her you don't have it. If she says she won't marry without it, then don't marry her. Are you afraid you can't handle her? For the sake of a woman, you drove Chelsea to attempt suicide by drinking poison. Isn't that foolish? If Chelsea doesn't want to contribute money, talk to her properly. Why scold her? Now look, it's turned into this. I didn't ask her for nothing." Under the barrage of criticism from his family, Matthew's mother became even sadder. "I told her we would consider it a loan. When her brother gets married, we'll slowly save money to repay her. But she refused, accused me of favoritism, said she brought 8 lifetimes of bad luck by being born into this family. Is that how people talk? Whoa, favoritism? Can that be called favoritism? Don't talk about our rural areas, even in big cities, it's the same. If a woman has no house or car, she can still get married. But if a man has no house, no car, and no money, how can he get married? Who would marry him? If there were mountains of gold and silver at home, which parent wouldn't want to be fair? I guarantee a level playing field, without bias toward anyone. Isn't it because the conditions aren't there? If the older brother is financially struggling and can't get married, and the younger sister happens to have the money, she would rather keep it there than help her brother. is that right? You guys don't know, Matthew's mother sniffed heavily, pointing at her unconscious disobedient daughter on the bed, angrily saying, she spent only 2 yuan taking a bus directly from the station to home. But she insisted on spending 50 yuan on a taxi. Can't a phone worth 1 or 2,000 yuan suffice? She bought one for over 6,000. I asked about the price of her coat, and she told me it was 2,000. I thought she was lying. When I cleaned her room, I actually found the receipt for buying clothes, indeed, 2,000. Matthew's mother spoke with the shocking and heart-wrenching tone one might use when facing Empress Dowager Cixi consuming over 100 dishes in one meal, so, a piece of cloth, over 2,000 yuan. How can you afford to be so extravagant? No matter how much money you make, you can't squander it like this. That face cream or water she uses, even a random bottle costs several hundred. She complains about how hard it is to earn money, yet she wastes it like this. You say you can buy a phone for over 6,000 yuan, clothes for 2,000, but you can't contribute some money for your brother's betrothal gift? Clearly, for the extensive members of this large family, a phone costing over 6,000 yuan, clothes worth 2,000, and creams and lotions in the hundreds indeed qualified as outrageous. Suddenly, the room fell into a stunned silence. Fortunately, Matthew's eldest aunt decided to defend her unfortunate niece. Young people these days don't know what's going on. One after another, spending money recklessly. My useless son also wanted to buy an expensive phone. He scolded me, then immediately swiped the credit card to buy it. And whose money do you think paid off that credit card debt? It makes me so angry to think about it. Mom. Matthew, who had just hung up with his boss, turned his head and noticed Jasmine standing at the door, hesitating to enter. He rushed to the ward's entrance in 3 quick steps. Jasmine, why aren't you coming in? Everyone was startled, and Matthew's mother hurriedly covered her mouth. Each face wore an expression of embarrassment and awkwardness. Matthew's mother, looking flustered, said, Jasmine, when did you come? Why didn't you say anything when you arrived? Just standing there, at the door? Jasmine replied, I was about to come in, but when I heard you talking about me, I stopped. Oh, Jasmine, Matthew's mother's voice trembled a bit, we didn't say anything about you. We were just talking about Chelsea being unreasonable, not willing to contribute money for her brother's betrothal gift. We didn't blame you at all. Don't misunderstand. But every sentence I heard sounded like blame. Where's that? Matthew quickly stepped forward to smooth things over. My mom said there was no blame, so there wasn't. You misunderstood. Misunderstood? You were on the phone the whole time, how do you know what I heard? Matthew's face reddened suddenly, and he could feel sweat about to break out. He quickly grabbed Jasmine's hand, attempting to appeal to her generosity and reason with love. Darling, let's not talk about this for now. It's too crowded inside. There are chairs in the corridor. Let's go sit there for a while. I have something to tell you. Sit by yourself if you want to sit. Jasmine forcefully shook off Matthew's hand, walking straight to Matthew's mother. Auntie, I did mention an 180,000 yuan betrothal gift, but I never said I wouldn't marry without it. My exact words were, if we can't save up enough money, then we'll postpone the wedding for a year or 2. Ask Matthew if that's true. Matthew's eldest aunt was the first to speak up in defense. If we can't save up enough and we postpone the wedding for a year or 2, what if, after 1 or 2 years, we still haven't saved enough? Isn't that still not getting married? What's the difference? Following closely behind, Matthew's second aunt added, exactly. Jasmine, you know Matthew's family's situation. They used all their money to buy you a house. Where can they get such a high betrothal gift? Your request is a bit unreasonable. If it weren't for your aunt urgently wanting you two to get married, she wouldn't have pushed Chelsea to attempt suicide. Isn't that right? Seeing the situation escalating, Matthew became anxious. Second aunt, please stop. The betrothal gift was my promise to Jasmine. Don't blame her. Dad, Mom, you take care of Chelsea. I'll take Jasmine back. You haven't explained everything, why leave? Jasmine glared at Matthew, and he dared not say another word. Matthew regretted calling Jasmine to come. He received a call from his father during work, saying Chelsea had taken poison, and he rushed back to the county. The details were not clear in his father's call, just mentioning a quarrel between Chelsea and her mother. Matthew didn't think much of it until all the relatives gathered, and his aunt inquired. That's when Matthew's mother revealed it was about the betrothal gift. If he had known that Chelsea attempted suicide because of this, he would never have let Jasmine bear the blame. However, by the time he called Jasmine, it was too late. She was already at the hospital entrance. Second aunt, are you suggesting that Chelsea's suicide attempt is my fault? Seeing everyone silent, Jasmine sneered. I asked for the money from Matthew, but I never asked him to pressure his uncles and aunts for it. Also, I want to clarify that Matthew's money wasn't used to buy me a house, he bought a house for himself. The property deed clearly states both our names. The house cost 1.5 million yuan, with me contributing 800,000 yuan, and Matthew taking 700,000 yuan. We split the renovation costs evenly. So, in reality, I spent 100,000 yuan more than Matthew, something he conveniently forgot to mention to you. Seeing her son's image shattered in front of everyone, Matthew's mother couldn't remain calm. Since you've decided to be together, why bother counting who contributed how much money? It does matter, auntie. If I don't make things clear, uncles and aunts might think I took advantage of Matthew's family. So, when we say it's an 180,000 yuan betrothal gift, it's actually only 80,000 yuan. Matthew doesn't mind, and he can slowly earn it. Haven't we earned over 1 million yuan for this house? Can't we earn this small betrothal gift? Well, some families don't ask for a betrothal gift, insisted Matthew's mother. Yeah, many brides don't ask for a betrothal gift. One of my classmates didn't ask for it. Not only did she not ask, but she also contributed to the wedding house, bought a Land Rover, and gave an additional 2 million in cash. But the condition was that the husband could never have any contact with his hometown relatives, and their children had to take her surname. I'm not making this up, Matthew knows about it. You can ask him. Of course, not everyone gets such a good deal. Seeing everyone's faces turn dark, Jasmine continued, but we come from an ordinary family, and in my parents' view, a betrothal gift is indispensable. Their agreement for us to save money to buy a house already surpasses many parents. I can't ask them to lower their standards even further. I can suggest a betrothal gift, whether to give it or not is up to Matthew himself. When I said postponing the wedding if we couldn't save enough money, it wasn't a threat to Matthew. His youth is precious, isn't my youth as a woman valuable too? If he puts in effort and falls short, I would consider lowering the standards. But now, he hasn't made any effort, and you all start blaming me. Even Chelsea's suicide attempt is being blamed on me. Isn't this bullying? The room fell silent, with everyone avoiding eye contact. Jasmine glared fiercely at Matthew, then walked out of the hospital room. Matthew hurriedly followed. As soon as they left the hospital building, they began to argue. Jasmine said, Matthew, tell me the truth. Did you ask your mom to demand money from your sister? No, I didn't know about this. If I knew she attempted suicide because of this, I wouldn't have called you. What about the money for the house? In that 700,000 yuan, you claimed 500,000 yuan was earned by yourself, and the remaining 200,000 yuan was given by your parents. Where did your parents get 200,000 yuan? It's Chelsea's money, right? Matthew remained silent for a moment before saying, I don't know. You don't know? How could you not know? Jasmine's heart sank. Matthew, you really surprised me. We've been together for so long, and I didn't know your family has been exploiting your sister. I always knew your sister didn't get along well with your family, but you said it was just her temperament, that she didn't get along with anyone, so she rarely came back. Why did she rarely come back? Wasn't it because of your pressure? Who wants to stay in a vampire family and be sucked dry? You said your sister dropped out of high school and went to work. It's not easy for a girl from the countryside without education or background to stand firm outside. Finally, she earned money through her own intelligence and effort, bought things she liked, and still had to be accused. Why? As it was too late, there were no more buses back. Jasmine found a nearby hotel to stay for the night. She still wanted to wait and see Chelsea's condition. Fortunately, Chelsea woke up the next day. Taking advantage of Matthew's parents going to the cafeteria, Jasmine went into the hospital room alone. Seeing Jasmine, Chelsea coldly turned her face to the wall. Jasmine sat down, speaking softly, Are you blaming me for asking for this betrothal gift from your brother? After all, if I hadn't asked for such a large sum, your mom wouldn't have demanded money from you, right? I can understand your feelings. When my parents asked me to give the money I saved to my younger brother to buy a house, I felt the same way as you. However, I didn't choose to end my life, but packed my bags the next day and left for another city, staying away for 3 years. During those 3 years, I never initiated a call home. Chelsea turned her head in surprise. Our family also favors sons over daughters. I can assure you that I've experienced all the unfairness you faced since childhood. From education and work to small things like a chicken leg or a piece of candy, there's injustice everywhere. I don't know when my temper became fiercer, my temper more violent, and my hatred towards them grew. I don't know when I became more and more resentful. For everything I didn't agree with, I refused to obey. My brother wants to buy a house and get married. Should I not buy a house or get married? Even if I found a wealthy man and didn't have to contribute anything, what about it? That's my hard-earned money. Why should I give it to someone else? Many people think that siblings are not someone else, they share the same blood and can't be considered as others. But if they're not others, why should one be bled and cut to support another? Who stipulated that? Who considers us as our own? Since I disowned my family, my life has become much better. My parents know that I can even abandon them when I'm determined. They dare not provoke me anymore. I don't know how much your parents have taken from you over the years, making you desperate enough to attempt suicide. You clearly have so many ways to resist this injustice, and at worst, you could choose to stay away, never contact them again. Why choose the worst option? Like an arrow piercing through her heart, Chelsea, who hadn't cried in many years, instantly teared up. Disowning the family? Is that really possible? I always thought they were my parents. You can certainly do your best to repay parents who treat you well. But if they only see you as nourishment for someone else, then you can only fulfill the basic duty of support. Besides that, there's nothing else. After saying these words, Jasmine stood up to leave. Chelsea asked, since you know our situation, can you give up this betrothal gift? Of course not. Jasmine cut in, when my parents knew that I wanted to save money with Matthew to buy a house, although they weren't happy, they didn't dare to say much. They only made one request, the betrothal gift. They could waive the money, letting me keep it, but Matthew had to give it. Chelsea, when I proposed the betrothal gift, it was a test for the man I would spend my life with, testing both his abilities and character. It wasn't to put you in a difficult situation. The reason you've been exploited by your parents lies with yourself. If you don't make a firm decision to defend your rights, always consider that so-called family affection, then you'll never escape the fate of being exploited in your life. Jasmine's refusal to give up the betrothal gift to Chelsea was a clear expression of her stance and attitude. In reality, their relationship had already ended when she heard the true reason for Chelsea's suicide attempt at the hospital door. She could disregard what her family thought, cut ties with them, and refuse to interact with any of them in the future, but she knew Matthew couldn't. Growing up under the inherent beliefs and educational patterns in his family, he moved forward selfishly with the care and expectations of numerous aunts behind him, backed by the entire strategic team of the Matthew family. He couldn't shake it off, nor could he sever the ties. In the matter of Chelsea's suicide attempt, the most criticism Matthew's mother received was, "You should talk to her instead of scolding her," but no one said, "You shouldn't have asked Chelsea for money." Because generations in their family had been raised this way, with daughters supporting sons, and no one ever felt it was wrong, including Matthew himself. Matthew's mother, who had exploited her sister for many years, had she ever felt a shred of gratitude or compassion toward her sister? No. If she had, she wouldn't have spoken about her sister with such a dismissive and indifferent expression when mentioning her, nor would she have shown that slightly superior feeling when discussing her sister's discord with their parents. When Jasmine suggested breaking up, Matthew was quite annoyed. "I took my sister's money, all for you, right? If I couldn't afford a house and couldn't produce a betrothal gift, would you marry me? Of course not. Why would I engage in poverty alleviation? If you can't afford it, that's your incompetence. If you exploit your sister without remorse, that's your lack of virtue. If you can treat your own sister like this, how can I entrust my entire life to you?" Matthew finally exploded. "Fine, let's break up. My second uncle and the others say you're uncultured, and I even spoke up for you. After Chelsea is discharged, she just disappeared without a word and even blocked our entire family. I haven't settled the score with you yet. Is that so?" Hearing this, Jasmine genuinely laughed. The two of them quickly sold the house and retrieved their respective house payments. As for the already spent renovation fees, consider it bad luck. When Jasmine's father learned that the two had separated, he was shocked and asked for the reason. After Jasmine briefly explained the process, she said fiercely, "I don't want any connection with a family that exploits daughters to subsidize sons." Hearing this, Jasmine's father blushed, then echoed, yes, families like that are unacceptable."